first week of NFL free agency has come and gone, which means now it's my time to update my 7-round Steelers mock draft. This is my 4.0 version for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I cannot wait to share with you my picks today. But before we get into it, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you want more draft content here on the channel, all right? We're getting to that point in the year where it's kind of in between free agency and draft stuff. So if you want to kind of shift more to the draft content, let me know right now by clicking that thumbs up icon to kick off today's show. So here are the Steelers draft picks that they currently hold after trading Diontae Johnson, trading Kenny Pickett, and then acquiring Justin Fields, all right? So after all the moves and all the trading last week, right now you have pick number 20, pick number 51 in round 2, 2 third-round picks now at number 84 and 98, respectively. You have a 4th-round pick at 119, and then you have 2 picks in round 6 at 178 and 195. 4 picks in the top 100 this year, so Omar Khan and the Steelers definitely have the ammo to add some very key starters to this lineup moving forward. Now, keep in mind, in this mock, I'm not going to be doing any trades this time around, so we are going to stick with the structure here. Without further ado, let's get into this mock here, starting with the 1st-round pick, where I'm going to have the Steelers take Georgia offensive tackle Amarius Mims. Now, Mims is the number 4 ranked offensive tackle on my big board right now. You can see my big board rankings right here. I got Joe Alt, Alufashano, Troy Fotano ahead of Amarius Mims because I think that all 3 of those guys can play on the left side. I think Amarius might be more of a true right tackle. But listen, man, Mims is really freaking good. On his film, he is a little bit green just because he hasn't played all that many games. But on his film, in the time that he has spent on the field, it's unbelievable, all right? The footwork is great. He's an underrated pass protector, all right? And he is a mauler in the run game, which is exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for. So for me, if Mims is available here in round 1, you're not going to be able to get a guy like Mims in round 2, in my opinion. So I'm going to pull the trigger on that right now, put him on the right side, move Broderick Jones over to the left side, and you've got your starting tackle duo for the next decade here in Pittsburgh. Now, I could also see it being Talisi Fuaga. I had the Steelers take Fuaga in my last mock draft, and if he's here, he could very well be the pick because he is the best overall run blocker in this year's NFL draft class, in my opinion. Now, I think Mims might be a little bit more well-rounded, which is why if I were to be given the choice between the two, I'm going with Amarius Mims, but I really like Fuaga as well, so make sure you keep your eye on him. And the reason why I'm going offensive tackle here over center is because there are a lot of starting capable centers that can start on day 1 that you can get on day 2 in the draft this year, both round 2 and round 3. There's a bunch of guys. We're going to be talking about one of them here in just a second. But when it comes to offensive tackles, there's a lot of toolsy, high upside guys that you could get in round 2, but you're not going to get like a bona fide day 1 starter at that point. So I think Mims is that. I think that is the move here if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you haven't addressed offensive tackle in free agency by the draft, it has to be an offensive tackle in round 1. So for me, I'm going to go with Amarius Mims, but let me know what you guys would do. If you were given the choice between Amarius Mims, Talisi Fuaga, or Jackson Powers Johnson, which offensive lineman are you taking? Let me know down there in the comments section. Type AM for Amarius Mims, TF for Talisi Fuaga, JPJ for Jackson Powers Johnson for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time, but let me know who you're taking in round 1. Now let's continue to build the offensive trenches here by taking that center here in Zach Frazier out of West Virginia. Now this is somebody that grew up in Pennsylvania, blue-collar kid, and it shows up on film. This guy is a mauler. This guy brings the energy to the field every single day. To the yard, and you just love it, man. You just love watching his film because you can see the motor, you can see the passion, and that has Pittsburgh Steelers center written all over him. All right, I think that he would be a day 1 starter in the league. You know, center is seen as a more of a low-value position because you get double team help a lot, right? Offensive tackle, you get a lot more one-on-ones. It's a lot more difficult to play offensive tackle than it is to play center in the league, but I think Zach Frazier brings the athleticism and the run-blocking acumen that Arthur Smith is looking for in his starting center heading into 2024, and I think he'd easily be the Steelers' day 1 starter immediately once he is drafted. So coming up here, we're going to be going over rounds 3 through 7, in my mock so far, I've taken care of the offensive trenches. Now let's go a little bit more on the perimeter. But before I get into that, make sure you guys click that subscribe button because we're just getting started with our draft content here on Steelers Talk. We got Steelers draft news. We're going to have updates on all the guys the Steelers are meeting with before the draft, all the people that they're reportedly targeting. Also, we're going to have in-depth scouting reports on all the top prospects in this year's NFL draft, especially being targeted by the Steelers. We're going to have positional rankings for all the positions of need for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the draft. And then, of course, just like this one, we're going to have weekly Steelers mock drafts for you guys to enjoy. And oh yeah, guys, it's all 100% free. So if you're a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you want to join a community of almost 50,000 Yinzers that love this team just as much as you do, and you want to get yourself ready for the 2024 season, this is going to be the perfect place for you. Click that subscribe button for me right now. Then we get into round 3 here, and we're going to go corner. Renardo Green out of Florida State. Now, maybe a little bit undersized. All right, he is a bit skinny, but he's played a lot of press coverage in his day, and he's really good at using his hands, and he's really good at sticking with receivers. All right, so he's going to be knocked down a little bit to the 3rd round, but man, his grade in press man coverage was about as high as it could get last year on film. He is silky smooth, and I really like how he projects into the Steelers defense as a number 2 corner to Joey Porter Jr. moving forward. Would he start day 1? I'm not too sure, but he's certainly somebody that could show out in camp and earn the number 2 starting spot with the way that this guy sticks to people in man coverage. Then we'll get to the second round 3 pick here, and we're going to take somebody to fill out the defensive line. The Steelers are in need of defensive line depth. The starters are pretty good. You got Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, and Larry Ogunjobi, but Ogunjobi is entering the last year of his contract. I'm not interested in bringing him back after this season. I would rather go out and get Michael Hall out of Ohio State, who is arguably, well, I'm not going to say he's the best because Byron Murphy is the best, but Michael Hall is a really freaking good pass rusher up the middle. Now, he's a little bit undersized, so he'd probably have to play the 5 technique in the Steelers' 3-4 front. But man, he could absolutely replace Larry Ogunjobi immediately once he leaves in 2025, and he can work as a rotational piece on 3rd downs in his rookie season where he's not going to be asked to be an every down starter right away. I think this is the perfect landing spot for Michael Hall, who is an absolutely ravenous pass rusher up the middle, could be a really, really good contributor to this defensive line and pass rush for many years to come. Then we'll get to round 4 here, where I'm going to have them take Malik Washington. Yes, Malik Washington again. All right, I think in every single mock except one so far this draft season, I've had the Steelers take Malik Washington because I like him that much, guys. I love the value here in round 4, which is where he's currently projected to go. With all these great wide receivers in here in this year's draft class, Malik Washington is being put down the totem pole, and I don't understand why. I think I got a round 2 grade on him. He's a little bit undersized, but man, he is strong. He's a good run blocker. He's great after the catch. He's got better ball control and hands than most guys his size. I think he's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for in their future slot wide receiver. He also has the versatility to play on the outside if needed. I love the toughness. I love the skill set, and I love the yards after the catch ability in this Arthur Smith offense. If he's here in round 4, the Steelers better take him. Here in round 6, all right, so a bit of a jump here. I'm going to go with the tight end, Jaheim Bell. Now, I know what you're saying. Jack, we have Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. Why are you taking a tight end? All right, well, you got Darnell Washington, who's like your true bruising run blocker. All right, then you got Pat Freiermuth, who's more of a receiving tight end. And then Jaheim Bell is also a receiving tight end. Now, Pat Freiermuth is a free agent heading into 2025. And I want Muth here for a long time. All right, but having 2 guys in Pat Freiermuth and Jaheim Bell, and by the way, Bell is my number 3 tight end this year, and right now Pro Football Focus is giving him to us in round 6. I just can't believe it. He's not much of a blocker, but man, he is a great receiving threat. And if you can combine the talents of Pat Freiermuth and Jaheim Bell as really dynamic receiving threats at the tight end position with how much Arthur Smith loves to put 2 and 3 tight ends on the field at one time, I think in round 6, in terms of overall value for your team, you can't do much better than getting the Florida State tight end here on day 3. Then in the final pick here, Coop's clapping over here. He loves his Texas Longhorns. I'm going to take Jalen Ford. Really good coverage linebacker out of Texas. And listen, he's a little bit undersized, I don't love the diagnostics against the run. There's things wrong with Jaylen Ford. There's a reason why we're taking him here on day 3. But man, when it comes to the pass defense, the zone coverage instincts, the ability to break up passes on third downs as a rotational inside linebacker, which is what you'd be bringing Jaylen Ford in here to do, I think he fills that role immediately. And if you're getting a guy like that, a contributor on your defense here in day 3 in round 6, I think that's one hell of a value, and I'm absolutely pulling the trigger on Jaylen Ford if he's here this late. Now, here's my mock draft haul here for my 4.0 7-round Steelers mock draft, taking Amarius Mims. Until they address the need in free agency, I'm probably going to continue to take offensive tackle in round 1, just because, like I said, the value is just not going to be there on day 2. Zach Frazier getting a really good day 1 starting center on day 2 to fill out the rest of the offensive line. Renardo Green, a great fit for this press man-heavy defense. Michael Hall to replace Larry Ogunjobi moving forward. Malik Washington as a really nice contributor in the slot next year offensively. Jaheim Bell to put alongside Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington in this tight end friendly offense. And then Jaylen Ford there in round 6 as a nice rotational pass defense type inside linebacker. So grade my mock down there in the comments section, A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section with what I did with these 7 picks. Now make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you guys want more mock drafts, if you guys want me to get into my positional rankings, if you want me to go over more mid-round draft targets, if you want more draft content here on the channel, have your voice heard right now by clicking that thumbs up icon. And until next time, Steelers Nation, here we go, Steelers.